Imagine sitting outside on a warm summer's day, looking up into the sky and seeing a plane flying above you. It could be spying on your every move, or it could be about to drop a missile. Sounds like the book 1984 by George Orwell, doesn't it? Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, also known as drones, are aircrafts either controlled by pilots from the ground or programmed to automatically follow through a certain mission. Drones raise ethical, privacy, and civil liberty concerns. Many innocent people have lost their lives to drones, so I believe that they shouldn't be used. First, I'll tell you about the amount of innocent people that have lost their lives to drone attacks. Second, I'll tell you about how drones are an unethical violation of human rights. And last, I'll tell you about how drones could potentially be flying over the U.S. The United States uses drones to spy on and attack countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Yemen in an effort to locate and kill suspected terrorists and members and leaders of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. However, in all of these countries, many innocent civilians, including children, have been victim to drone attacks. Because the U.S. government has not released specific information and figures for drone strikes, it is hard to estimate the exact number of drone strikes as well as the exact number of deaths caused by these attacks. According to the Opposing Viewpoints online collection from the Gale Online Library, there have been 380 attacks in Pakistan since 2004. About 2,500 to 3,600 people have been killed, of which 400 to 900 were civilians and about 200 were children. About 1,500 injuries were also reported, and that's just in Pakistan. The national security state has taken steps to make sure we don't find out what's gone wrong. Connor Friedersdorf, the author of Drone Strikes Are an Unethical Violation of Human Rights, says that there is so much particular to our drone strike program that should deepen our mistrust. One example of mistrust is the killing of Islamic militant Anwar al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son, Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, a presumable innocent teenager. Although he was an American citizen, the government has offered no explanation for his death. It is not just the killing of innocent civilians which I have an issue with. Drone strikes are overall unethical and violations of basic human rights. Like I said at the beginning, drones are unarmed, unmanned aircrafts used for surveillance and attack. They contain heat sensors, facial recognition, can locate figures from up to 25 miles away to 20,000 feet in the sky. They can also intercept Wi-Fi networks and interrupt cell phone services. From procon.org, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif said that the use of drones is not only a continued violation of our territorial integrity, but also detrimental to our resolve and efforts in eliminating terrorism from our country. He would therefore stress the need for an end to end drone attacks. Under international human rights law, a targeted individual must pose an imminent threat that only lethal forces can prevent. So, simply being a suspect of a certain militant organization, or according to CIA's policy of fitting the profile of a terrorist in an area where terrorists are known to operate, is not legally sufficient to make someone a permissible target for killing. Something to consider as well is the fact that planes themselves are unmanned. So there is a complete disconnect from the horrors of war. Soldiers sit behind a computer screen, like a video game, to control the drones. There is no emotional attachment to what the soldiers are carrying out, but they are affecting and killing innocent people in the meantime. As drone pilot Colonel D. Scott Brenton said in a New York Times interview, he is fighting a tele-war with a joystick and a throttle, thousands of miles away from the battlefield, then driving home to have dinner with his family. Drones have already been flying over American soil for our safety, but I believe they can be considered a privacy threat. Law enforcement want to start using drones for their benefit, but a couple cities have already turned down drone programs. Protesters in Seattle refer to drones as flying government robots watching their every move, according to Anna Maureen's article on Drones Over America. In California's Alameda County, officials requested drones to be used for only search and rescue missions, but a different internal memo surfaced from the Sheriff's Department, which stated that the drones could be used for investigative and tactical surveillance, intelligence gathering, suspicious persons, and large crowd control disturbances. On the other hand, I can see where the use of military drones could benefit the U.S. in more ways than one. Drone strikes do, for one, make U.S. military personnel safer, since they are often attacking extremely dangerous and unforgiving locations, which on foot would pose serious risks. Drones help law enforcement do their jobs better for less costs, and also have very valuable civilian applications such as traffic control, firefighting, disaster response, or border security. Though the use of drones can have a positive impact on the U.S., military drones will always seem unethical and dangerous in my eyes. First, I told you about the amount of innocent people that have lost their lives to drone attacks. Second, I told you about how drones are an unethical violation of human rights. And lastly, I told you about how drones could potentially be enforcing over our own American land. Many innocent people have lost their lives to drones without any emotional attachment to the attacks being carried out, so I believe they shouldn't be used. Stand up against the use of military drones, stand up for human rights, and stand up for human life.